I thought I knew him. I trusted him, but I had no idea what he was capable of. The man I loved was using my name to scam people I didn't even know. It started with small lies, little things I ignored, until one day I discovered the truth, and my whole world turned upside down. This is my story of trust, betrayal, and the shocking realization that love can sometimes hide the darkest secrets. We met in what felt like the perfect way, like fate had brought us together. At first, everything seemed genuine. The late-night calls, the long conversations about our dreams, and the laughter we shared made me believe I had finally found someone I could trust. He was charming, attentive, and always knew how to make me feel special. Over time, I opened up to him completely, sharing my thoughts, fears, and even personal details I had never told anyone else. I introduced him to my friends and family, thinking he would become a part of my world forever. We made plans for the future, talked about our dreams, and I truly believed he was as committed as I was. I remember feeling safe, cared for, and loved, never imagining that the person I trusted the most could secretly be manipulating my life behind my back. Every moment of happiness I felt now feels like it was just a part of the story he created to gain my trust and my identity. Looking back, I can see the signs I chose to ignore. At first, they were small, little inconsistencies in his stories, messages that didn't quite add up, and excuses that seemed harmless at the time. He would disappear for hours without explanation, or become defensive when I asked simple questions. Sometimes I felt a nagging doubt, a quiet voice inside me warning that something wasn't right, but I dismissed it because I wanted to trust him. He would ask for favors or small amounts of money, always insisting it was urgent, and I gave it without hesitation. The subtle manipulation was easy to overlook because it was wrapped in charm and affection. I wanted to believe in him, in us, and that made me blind. I didn't realize that every little lie, every evasive answer, and every secret he kept was a thread in a much larger, darker web, a web that I would soon find myself trapped in without warning. The truth hit me like a thunderbolt one ordinary day. A stranger reached out to me, confused and upset, claiming that I had scammed them. At first, I thought it was a mistake, some kind of misunderstanding. But then the messages kept coming. People I had never met were sending screenshots of conversations, transaction records, and proof that my name was being used to deceive them. My heart sank as I realized the horrifying truth. The man I loved had been using my identity to scam innocent people, all while keeping me in the dark. I went through my own messages, my accounts, and every interaction I had with him, trying to find a clue that I had missed, but everything pointed to the same cruel reality. He had built a double life, a hidden world where he used my name as a tool to manipulate and steal. The shock, anger, and disbelief I felt were overwhelming, and I couldn't stop asking myself how someone I trusted so completely could betray me in such a devastating way. The days that followed were some of the hardest I have ever experienced. I felt a mixture of shock, anger, and deep sadness that seemed impossible to shake. I kept replaying every memory, every conversation, and every moment we shared, wondering how I could have been so blind. The betrayal cut deeper than I ever imagined, not just because he lied, but because he used my trust and my identity as a weapon. I questioned myself constantly, wondering if I had missed signs, if I had been naive, or if I was somehow responsible. Sleep became difficult, and even simple tasks felt heavy with the weight of what had happened. I had to face not only the fact that I had been deceived, but also the reality that my name had been tarnished, linked to lies and scams I had never committed. It was a painful mix of heartbreak and fear. Eventually, I knew I had to face him. I couldn't carry the weight of the secret alone, and I needed answers. When I confronted him, I expected remorse, or at least honesty. But instead, I was met with denial, excuses, and anger. He refused to take responsibility, insisting that it wasn't his fault, and tried to twist the situation to make me feel guilty. The man I loved, the one I had trusted completely, had no intention of admitting the truth. I tried to reason with him, to make him understand the damage he had caused, not just to me, but to the people he had scammed using my name. But it was clear that he cared more about protecting himself than acknowledging the pain he had inflicted. That confrontation left me exhausted, emotionally drained, and more determined than ever to reclaim my life and protect my identity. It was a harsh lesson in realizing that some people will betray without remorse, and that self-preservation sometimes means cutting ties completely, even with someone you. Through this painful experience, I learned lessons that I will never forget. First, trust is precious, but it must be earned and protected. Sharing your personal information, even with someone you love, can be risky if you don't pay attention to warning signs. I realized the importance of listening to that small, quiet voice inside that questions things that feel off, instead of dismissing doubts just to avoid conflict or discomfort. I also learned that protecting your identity and digital presence is essential in today's world. Your name, your accounts, and your personal details can be used without your knowledge, and it can have serious consequences. Finally, I discovered that healing is a process. Betrayal cuts deep, but it can also teach resilience, self-awareness, and the ability to set stronger boundaries. My advice to anyone listening is to trust carefully, stay vigilant, and never ignore the red flags in relationships. And if you ever find yourself in a similar situation, know that it's not your fault, and you have the power to reclaim your life and protect yourself from further harm. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, you know the pain is real, and the confusion can be overwhelming. I want you to take a moment and reflect on your own experiences. Have you ignored warning signs, trusted too quickly, or allowed someone to manipulate your trust? Sharing your story can be powerful, not just for you, but for others who might be going through the same situation. If my experience resonates with you, I encourage you to speak up. Connect with people who understand, and remember that you are not alone. Healing comes when we acknowledge the truth, learn from it, and use our experiences to protect ourselves in the future. So take a moment, reflect, and share your story, because your voice might help someone else avoid the same heartbreak, betrayal, and pain that I faced.